video go super viral where I talked about the walk away method, where basically you approach a girl in the store, you tell her she's pretty, and you walk away, and she's going to be intrigued, and she's going to follow you and ask you for your number, sorry. Anyways, why were the #1 comments on that video, I'll get pepper sprayed, or don't even try it, guys, or if you're not over 6 foot, it's not worth it, or you can only do this if you're hot? It's so crazy, and I know that sometimes girls can be a little difficult sometimes, but I'm starting to think that guys just aren't even trying, because I have lots of girlfriends, I'm a girl myself, and I've been approached in public, and I always make it a very positive experience. Even if a guy asks for my number, if he just walks up to me and straight up asks for my number, I'll just say, oh, I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend, even if I don't. So I'm kind of over this narrative of men being like, oh, don't even try it, it's not even worth it. Because I think 99% of women would absolutely love for you to come up and give them a compliment. It's starting to feel like you just want to be the victim, and you're blaming us, saying we act like you're creepy, but in reality that's not true. I know most girls, it would make their entire day if a guy came up and complimented them.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll be discussing the story of a woman who went on a bachelorette trip to Mexico, how her husband found out she cheated, and how she manipulated him into staying with her despite the betrayal. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year so we can get our first plaque. That's the only support we ask of you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experiences in the comments for any man who might need them. And without further ado, let's get started.
This one is for my moms. This one is for my moms that have multiple school-age children. So I know how I handled sending my first baby to kindergarten. And I cried on the way to work, and then I was fine. I'm trying to figure out what is different about the last kid that you sent to kindergarten. Because I don't know if it's a combination of like watching your older kid take your baby into school, or if it's just the realization that you really don't have a baby anymore. I'm asking because this seems like excessive emotion. but also I know that I'm not alone, and I know that a lot of moms do this. So I'm pretty much just asking for a friend, what you did throughout the day to cope, because I cannot be like this today. Like, how do you keep yourself from going in there and just sitting with her? And she wasn't even sad. That's the thing. She said, bye, Mom. She walked in there. She asked me to help her hang up her little book bag. And then she said, okay, bye, I love you. What do we do now? Oh my God. Anyway, that's all.
I don't know if you've noticed, but women have this art of crying over everything. It's like a gift from the enemy, the ability to tear up over anything. That's why the saying goes, she can look at you with teary eyes and still be lying to you. But getting to the point, the most beautiful thing a woman can do in her life is to have children. The second most important thing in a woman's life is to choose the father of her child. What you've just seen are the most beautiful moments in a woman's life. She enjoys these moments because she's in charge of taking care of her children, because she has a husband who provides for her and allows her to be a mother. I put this out there so you can see the difference and happiness of a woman who knows how to choose the right father for her children. Thanks to maintaining the family, she has the opportunity to enjoy these moments.
Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. Title of this story is, Am I the Astronaut for Suspecting My Wife After She Went to Mexico and Spent No Money and Took No Pictures? She went on a Leave No Trace trip? I am in the middle of probably the biggest crisis of my adult life, and I can barely think, so I apologize in advance if this comes across as really weird or rambly. My wife went to Mexico last week for a friend's bachelorette party, and aside from the plane ticket, the hotel, and the first day's food and drinks, she didn't spend a penny all week. I mean, on the credit card, it's clear as day that on Monday and up until about 9 p.m., she was buying dinner, stuff at the hotel, shop, drinks at the bar, souvenirs. And then at 9 p.m., she didn't spend another cent the entire week until she was at her layover airport in Dallas. She says it's because her friend took over and paid for everything. I guess this is plausible, but it's still giving me a funny feeling. What is worse is that my wife is a person who posts her entire life on Instagram and TikTok, mostly Instagram. But if she does anything from getting a latte to picking up the kids at school, she will post it either as a picture or as a story. The last thing she posted on TikTok was that a trend of people jumping into their vacation from the airport. And after that, her social media is blank. I was kind of keeping an eye on it because I was excited for her to go on the trip. And again, I guess it's plausible, but it gives me a funny feeling. When she got home, I said, I can't wait to see all the pics she took. And she really blew me off and said she just didn't feel like taking pics that week. She has also been incredibly distant. And last night she said she just felt like sleeping on the couch because the AC hits better. This is 100% true, but I swear I heard her talking on the phone in the middle of the night. When I got up to check on her, I accidentally tripped over the dog and made a huge racket. So when I got downstairs, she appeared to be asleep. I brought all of this up this morning and said I'm not accusing her of anything, but all of this put together is making me feel uneasy. I wasn't trying to bait her or fight with her, just get my feelings on the table. She said, you are a major asshole for bringing this up on her first day back at work. I said I wasn't trying to pry, just communicating with her. And she said, your communication is prying, and I am not discussing this with you ever again. She then took the kids to summer camp and left. Am I the astronaut? We have an edit and an update, but for someone to go on a trip, and it is plausible, like bachelorette trips, you know, if it's an all-inclusive thing, it's possible that they were like, all right, you don't spend another dime. Everything is on us from here on out. Could be. What about the rest of it, though? Her behavior change is more alarming, right? And she's defensive. And as we read in a story earlier, it's the response that elevates.
Oh, hell no!
Brothers, human beings are creatures of habit. When you get used to doing something, your brain starts doing it on autopilot. This woman is the typical type who shares her entire life on social media. She was all excited about this trip, as her husband mentioned, and he even supported her in going. But she doesn't post a single photo, spends only on what she consumes at the hotel, and when she comes back, she's acting strange and defensive. These are clear red flags. This woman is hiding something, feeling guilty, and that's why she's defensive. She doesn't want to be around her husband, and she didn't come back from the trip eager to share what she did, which is very unusual for any woman after a trip. We've said it many times here. A man who lets his woman go on a girl's trip doesn't really have a woman, and it's even worse if it's a bachelorette party. You all know the chaos that goes down at those bachelorette parties. They're worse than the guys. But let's continue.
The sus factor. Okay, let's dive into the edit here. Edit. So I realized that her text probably synced to her iPad, so I just checked. Took me a while to figure out the passcode, but I did. But there was an iMessage at 9:15 the night she got to the resort to a number with no contact info that said, okay, I'll meet you in the lobby. Is the app you said Signal? I looked up Signal, and it's kind of like WhatsApp. The iPad doesn't have Signal on it. So she downloaded a different app to chat with somebody and then deleted it. Edit 2, if you have been following my comments, you've seen that my sister is coming over and she's an insane internet sleuth and is relentless when it comes to this kind of cheating stuff. She also scares me a bit, so I'm hoping this isn't a mistake. I'm going to probably stop responding for a while so we can talk and she can do her thing. I am numb, but she can do this. Thanks for everyone and the nice comments and the reality check. It's not looking good. Edit 3, she cheated. My sister was able to get lots of info from the real estate guy, and my wife denied it at first, but then admitted it. Sorry it took so long to update, but I'm numb. I have literally zero idea what to do now. Edit 4 was deleted for personal reasons for OP, per Candy Thunder. Understood. Edit 5. I know people really want updates, and we've been talking, arguing, screaming, threatening all day long. I'm more confused than I was this morning, that's for sure. But I'm also confused, exhausted, sad, upset, nervous, and I don't know what to do. I did make a preliminary appointment with a family law attorney tomorrow to talk about protecting assets and how to navigate the legal way ahead, regardless of what I choose to do. I will say there's a subreddit that this was cross-posted to, and it may be the most toxic group of people I've ever seen online, and I feel really bad for those people. As for the privacy issues, no one has figured out who we are. That's not a challenge, by the way. I'm very tired, and I doubt people are still invested, but if there's still an interest, I can update either on this post or a new one in a few days. I'm really hoping to sleep tonight. My sister still has the kids, and they are having a blast and went to the lake with her boyfriend's family today, so I'm glad they're in good hands. And the official update now. Yeah, I have some professional buddies, like some industry buddies who like to use Signal for chatting. And that's literally it. But it's one of those, if your company uses it and you want to interface or engage with other collabs, or apparently if you're trying to hide cheating.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
She cheated. Nothing new under the sun in the life of a woman who travels. Girls' trips, bachelorette parties, this was all planned. From the start, she traveled alone. The second red flag was staying at a hotel with no photos, no updates about the trip, keeping everything very private. The worst sign is that she was defensive, didn't even want to sleep with her husband. That's what happens when guilt takes over. There's something we've always said. A man's instinct never fails. When you see this kind of strange behavior in your woman, you can assume something is wrong. This is what I mean by being a good man. If this had been a man with masculine boundaries who told her he doesn't accept girls' trips, she wouldn't have cheated. But he was the typical nice, permissive guy, letting his wife go alone to another country for a supposed bachelorette party. And what did she do with his trust? The same thing every woman does to a nice guy. Cheat on him with a chat. She didn't care that she had kids and a life with this man. She only cared about her feelings for Chad and having a few passionate days with him in Mexico. But later, they say all men are bad, right? Let's continue, because this is where the video gets good.
Official update. Good morning, everyone. I know it's been a while, but as I'm sure you can imagine, this has been the worst week of my life, and it's been an absolute whirlwind of activity trying to get things set up in a life that I don't really even recognize anymore. First of all, I'm now in the process of getting a legal separation from my wife with the aim of getting divorced. She and I both want to take the process very slow so it's fair to everyone. I do have a personal lawyer who is handling the separation, but even she recommends that it will be cheaper and easier for us to do a mediated divorce. She, edit the lawyer, not my wife, has a colleague who has this sort of package deal where we will work together with a certified counselor while we are meeting with the mediation lawyer to handle the legal aspects. The goal is to learn to be co-parents and friendly while we go through the breakup. I know my wife is hoping to see the counselor with the aim of reconciling. I am doing the counseling so I can learn how to treat her with some sort of respect as the mother of my kids for their benefit. I can't possibly see reconciling, but I guess stranger things have happened. Just to those of you who read along last week, know that my sister is one of those internet sleuths who if you can tell her a first initial in someone's eye color, she can come up with the person's entire life history in a matter of minutes. I've pretty much let her handle all of the dirty work. She did some research on the guy, and he's an absolute piece of shit. He has judgments and liens against him all over the country. He has 6 kids with 4 different women and is delinquent on child support in most of them. And it seems like his MO is to just wait until the kid turns 18 and hope they stop coming after him. And this is the guy my wife picked to ruin everything for. My sister did get in touch with his current wife and said that she has pics and text messages to prove that he was cheating, and so far has not heard back from her. Who knows what's going on with that? My assumption is it's happened so many times she expects it and tolerates it, or maybe we will hear back from her. It was the first gut reaction that I felt too. It's not a surprise to her, and it's happened before. My wife and I are still in the house together until the separation is official, and we may continue to be even after the legal separation is done. I just don't know, and I figure as long as we can be friendly to each other, then it's okay. I had to go away on business last week, and when I got back on Saturday, it was pretty clear the fight in her was gone, and she wanted to talk and accept full responsibility, and was willing to come clean about the whole thing. I told her I really didn't need to hear anymore because her affair partner had confessed the whole thing and even sent pics. I think her thing now is that she's utterly humiliated and has been very quiet, even obsequious as her general manner around the house. It's not really what I want because I didn't get married to have a servant, and the change in her normal fiery and funny personality is only a reminder that something is really wrong. Kids are doing fine. They're spending a lot of time with my sister and her boyfriend and his family, so hopefully looking back, this will just be the summer before their parents got divorced and are missing the turmoil in the house. I guess if there are questions, I can try to answer them, but that's pretty much what's been going on here. There is one more update, but damn, obsequious. Yeah, like subservient, right? Damn. Mel J. Wolf, thank you so much. With the the love and the hearts on the YouTube side of the stream. It does make a difference. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, poor guy. Like, what? So how did she not think when she was going to do this that it wasn't going to be suspicious? And apparently, it wasn't even a bachelorette thing. Apparently, she was just going to have this hookup. The bachelorette thing was.
Damn!
Do you see why being a good man never pays off? A man who respects himself doesn't let his woman go on a trip alone, especially not to a bachelorette party. This trip was simply a setup to meet with that man. And who did she choose? The classic, well-known Chad. A man who brings nothing to the table except his seed. A man who's a delinquent, with 6 kids from 4 different women. They never leave you for someone better. They leave you for a useless guy who's just fun in bed. I'm sure that short trip was spent entirely in the hotel, which is why she didn't spend anything else, and there were no other photos. So, imagine that they didn't leave the room. She was enjoying herself with Chad. The husband was lucky he figured it out. He wasn't a fool like many simps who play dumb in these situations out of fear of upsetting their woman, because he could have ended up raising Chad's 7th child. Another mistake this man made was not kicking her out of the house. Forget about a friendly divorce. She needed to be out. If he leaves her there, sooner or later they'll sleep together, and he'll forgive her. You can't reward bad behavior. If she cheats, she needs to leave the house. At least he's filing for divorce. She knows what she's doing, probably getting advice from her friends, telling her to treat him well, do everything he wants, dress sexy so he'll forget. Don't fall into that trap. The first thing you need to do is distance yourself. Kick her out of your house. You didn't cheat, so you shouldn't leave your home. Let her go, but let's continue.
The bachelorette thing was a farce. Okay, here's the update that is on surviving infidelity. Hello, my posts from the last 2 weeks have gained quite a bit of traction on the AITAH pages, and several people have advised me to post here. Long story short is that my wife went on a trip to Mexico and had a mostly emotional/financial affair, but it got physical at least once. It certainly would have been more, but the guy had pretty severe health issues. I am beside myself with anger and embarrassment, but as the days have gone on, I am thinking that I can't live without her. We have been together since we were 13. We have kids. I have a side business with her dad. I'm great friends with her brother, and my family loves her like a daughter. We're scheduled to bring the divorce mediation next week while also doing co-parent counseling, so the process is moving forward. Part of me feels like I'm grasping at straws to forgive her, but part of me feels like she has shown me a lot of grace and forgiveness, and I should give her the same chances she gave me. When we were 15, I cheated on her while I was at a baseball camp. Not only did I cheat on her, I dumped her when I got home, explicitly told her it was her fault that I cheated on her because the girl wasn't a good girl Christian. And then I dated other girls that school year and rubbed it in her nose at every opportunity. It wasn't until she started dating that I realized how sorry I was and begged her to take me back. In 17 years, she's never held my behavior against me, except for some light ribbing now that we're older. She forgave me unequivocally, and I vowed that I would never hurt her like that again, and I truly haven't. But I can admit cheating as a horny 15-year-old guy is a far cry from cheating as a 32-year-old mother of 2. She had so much more to lose and so many more people who would be hurt by her actions, but she loved me enough to forgive me even though it must have crushed her. I have to admit there's a huge part of me that feels I owe her a second chance because she gave me one, even though the circumstances are so much different. I'm not even really asking what I should or should not forgive her. Rather, are these emotions normal? Am I rationalizing something that should not be?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Brothers, what you just witnessed here is the evolution of a nice guy into a conscious cuckold. A man who lets his woman cheat but stays silent out of fear of losing her. I told you he was falling into a trap. If you let your anger cool down, you won't make any decisions. When he let her stay in the house, they continued living together throughout the divorce process, then came therapy, and then she started acting well-behaved. Of course, this would make him doubt whether to leave her or not. A cheater never changes. Women are experts in manipulation. She probably started treating him well, cooking his favorite meals, making him feel like they had a perfect family again. I'm sure there was some intimacy, even if he doesn't admit it now. You know those nights of passion where you're angry, but still do it with a lot of intensity. What happens after? He starts doubting, thinking, am I going to throw all this away over a simple mistake? She forgave me when I was young. It's not the same as a teenage relationship. This is a 15-year marriage with 2 kids. It wasn't a business trip. She went to meet a Chad who was a delinquent. I'm sure she even paid for the hotel to be with that man, with whom she spent several days without leaving the room. She came back home thoroughly worn out. She even went to the couch on the first night back so her husband wouldn't touch her, because of how well Chad had worked her over. Friend, have some dignity. Not kicking her out of the house and staying with her. This outcome was inevitable.
Should not be rationalized. Okay. Everybody's going to view this a little bit differently. I feel like, OP, yes, you are rationalizing something that should not be rationalized. I feel like you are grasping at straws here. You feel what is the comfort of your normal world right now slipping away, and you're grasping at anything you can to try to slow that process down. But all of the things that you mentioned, having the side business with her dad, being really close with her brother, those things don't change. Your family loving her like a daughter, that'll probably change. But the other things can keep going. A lot of your life can keep going the way it is. It doesn't have to change. Your connections with previous family members don't have to change, especially if you're in business. The whole 15-year-old thing, like, come on, man. Come on. Yes, that's shitty. Shouldn't have done that 17 years ago. Is it 17? Is that right? I understand that there are kids involved. Here's the deal, though. The example for what your children will believe love is and a marriage should be are going to be the example that you set for them in this house. And if you accept this, not to say that it's not fixable, she could do the work to fix this whole thing. I don't know that she's willing to right now. I don't know. But I'm not saying it's not fixable. But if it's not fixable, that child can grow up with healthy parents who choose themselves and choose happiness, and they can provide a great example. If you stay and it's this broken, toxic relationship full of regret and resentment, and it's backhanded compliments to each other, and it's just being shitty, and it's you never fully trusting her and her always being on guard or being obsequious around the house, that is not the example that you want to create for your kids as for what love in a marriage should be. I do not think. You have to look at everything that is involved with every choice that you make here. So let's say, yes, you grasped at straws here and you're like, oh, she gave me a second chance. I should give her one. Okay. What happens later on? How are you going to heal the two of you? How are you going to heal this relationship? How are you going to heal this family? How is it going to work? It is not as simple as just saying, yes, I'll forgive it, or no, I won't. Nothing is simple about this. Everything you do is going to be complicated. You just have to make sure that you think it through and choose the one that takes you to what your goal really is. What do you want? What do you want, OP? You have to answer that. And then remember that every time you're making a choice.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
When trust is broken, there's no relationship left. What he should have done is leave her, reclaim his dignity as a man, and not let himself be used by a woman who cheated on him. When you reward a child for bad behavior, the child will do it again. These women are just like children in adult bodies. And this is why cheating hurts. There's something I call the 3 types of cheating in a relationship from a woman. When a woman cheats because you abuse her, you're a bad man, and you cheat too. When a woman cheats because you're not a provider, and she does it with a guy who has more money than you. When you're a good man, father, husband, you give her everything, show her love, don't cheat. And yet she cheats on you with a man who offers nothing to her life except sex. This is the one that hurts the most because it wasn't because you were bad or because of money. It's because she has a genuine interest in that man, because she likes him in bed, because he makes her feel better than you do. As painful as it is, what I'm saying is the truth. Genuine interest, as I've said many times, is non-negotiable. If you stay with a cheater, you're just buying a ticket to live in hell consciously, so don't complain when it happens again, and your dignity gets trampled on once more. Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will see how single mothers complain about having to handle everything alone. We'll see how many of them decide to leave the father just months after their baby is born. We'll also see how a father has to sacrifice a well-paying job just to be present in his child's life. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year and get our first plaque. This is the only support we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experiences in the comments for any man who might need it. And without further ado, let's get started.
Can we just take a moment to understand that when a woman, I am not gonna do this right now. When a woman is going through postpartum, that it's like almost worse than going through pregnancy, like emotionally, hormonally. Can we take a minute to understand that? So please excuse me if my emotions are high one day and low the next. Please excuse me if I may say or do some things that are out of character. You know what I mean? Please excuse me if I may have an ex that really didn't do me too good, but because I just had his baby 2 months ago, maybe I'm a little bit upset that he's not around anymore. You know, I'm allowed to feel those emotions, but can we please understand what a woman goes through postpartum? It's not fucking easy. Am I the only one?
Stop it. Get some help.
The single mother always has something to victimize herself about, whether it's postpartum, household chores, taking care of the man, taking care of the baby, or her hormonal cycle. It's always something, never her own decisions, because everything is always about how she feels. Why do I say how she feels? Because a woman is an emotional being and makes decisions based on her feelings, no matter what type of decision it is, for example, destroying her family. But nowadays, being a single mother is romanticized. You saw it in the intro video. She is some kind of heroine for being a single mother. But what kind of struggle did you go through that? 2 months after having your baby, you already leave the marriage. If you were going to do something like that, why did you get married? It's not like you waited a year, at least for the baby to grow up a bit. No, you make the decision to remove the father from your child's life within months, just to collect child support and not have to take care of your husband. But you will complain that it is the man's fault due to your own decision, because we all know responsibility is kryptonite for women.
I saw a video of an influencer stating how single moms get a lot of hate. Let's talk about it. This is something that I find to be very, very true. I get a lot of hate comments in my videos saying things like, oh, you're a single mom, people trying to use it as an insult. And people will tend to say this because I take care of myself. When I do wear makeup, I do my full face, I wear my cute outfits. And because I'm not the typical mom that they expect me to be, they will say these type of things. People saying, oh, you look like you have a lot of baby daddies. Oh, you look like you have a Jaden or Aiden. When in reality, I'm not a single mom. But even if I was, people tend to disregard the fact that it also takes a man to be a father, to be a parent, and to create a child. And when there is single dads, they are praised for being a parent. But single women are judged and are shamed. Why did you choose that baby father? Why did you lay up with him? Blah, 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 blah. But again, the absent father, the father that chose to walk out on their family or leave that child, is never blamed or is never judged. This is a reminder to all my women out there, whether you are a single mom or not, that does not define your worth. And at the end of the day, it is better to be a single happy mom than a single married woman, no matter who, what judges you or says otherwise. And this is something that is super common in our Latino community.
Oh my God!
Brothers, the most important decision in a woman's life is choosing the father of her child. If you choose the wrong father or get pregnant during a wild night, you can't blame the man for your own carelessness. If you're looking for a Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table but his seed, don't get mad at men because you let yourself get involved, got pregnant, and got what you were looking for, the Chad seed. Now, about the absent father. When it comes to child custody, the mother immediately gets primary custody. You need extraordinary evidence for this not to happen. She is granted child support based on the man's salary, and the man is given a visitation schedule that always aligns with the woman's interests, which she will always use to blackmail you. She will take more advantage or money to see your child on your days because the woman today wants to break up with you months after the baby is born and then return to her party life. Then they blame you when you move on or find another woman. Why do you think many women even take away your visitation days or forbid you from seeing your kids? It's pure envy. Just watch the next video to see what a father has to do to see his own daughter.
Judge said I can only see my daughter on weekends, so I got a job at her school. Now I see her Monday through Friday and get to have lunch with her. This right here is, one, pretty much the same reason I married my husband, and two, the reason I talk about this stuff. When my husband found out he was going to be a father in his early 20s, he left his job, family, and friends to move hundreds of miles away to be as close as he possibly could be to this child, to see him every day. And what happened? Family court did the same thing, gave him just every other weekend. Yeah, this man turned his whole life around to get a house a mile away from the mother with an extra bedroom just to see his kid 4 days a month. And this was years before he met me, for all the bitter people who think that men only step up to impress their girlfriends. And so now what's going to happen to this man is, because he's been given the most bare-bones parenting time schedule, he's also going to have to pay the maximum amount of child support. And whether it's a public or private school, he's probably taking a pay cut to take this job. And so what the child support office is going to do is calculate his child support at his potential income, what he was earning before, not at his current income. That means this man's child support could be calculated at, say, a $70,000 a year income when he's only making $40K. All of which, by the way, is giving a huge chunk of money to the state. So basically, this man and many men like him are lining the pockets of so many people just to be a present father. It's time for family courts to stop assuming all men will be deadbeats when there are hundreds of fathers just like this one fighting to stay in their kids' lives. And remember this clip every time you disrespect a father just because he doesn't have custody.
But of course, the absent father. This man has to leave his job just to have a place in his daughter's life. Do you know how many men dreamed of being fathers? How many men long to raise their child, take them to sports, go to father-daughter dances, or just be home with them? But they encounter women who want to live at home doing whatever they please without anyone setting limits. Women who never stop complaining about everything. Women who keep blaming you for not helping when you come home from working 8 to 10 hours just to put food on the table, when you're the one who has to pay for the maintenance of the house. Men who got married to have a united family are met with a woman who wants a divorce simply because she no longer wants to be with you. And guess what? She's not happy. They take your house, part of your money, and your children, making you pay child support and see them on weekends, which she will always condition on you fulfilling her whims. Men who have to watch in pain as another man is now with their house and children, living the happy family life they tried to build. But a hateful woman destroyed their dream just because she wanted to try another man. They don't tell you this when they destroy marriages, but look at the wonderful idea they came up with.
Girl, you ain't never lied. Have you heard of the mommune, where single moms are like buying houses together, building community together, but they're living together and they're like helping with cooking, cleaning, watching the kids? I think it's fucking amazing. I need a friend who will be single with kids, and I want to do that. I feel like that's so fucking lit. I want to take part. Me too. Have you heard of the mommune, where single moms are like
I've never heard of this before today, but I went down a rabbit hole and oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. This is something I would absolutely love to take part in. Living with a group of other single moms, helping each other with the childcare, living expenses. That sounds like a dream come true. And I know I wouldn't be the only one doing all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the laundry, basically every household chore by myself. Like, how do I get in on this? Like, I want to be part of a mommune. Like, how do you join?
Fuck up, you crazy bitch whore!
Brothers, let me tell you that today the biggest danger to a man's family is not the simps or the orbiters, but lesbians, women who are bi or lesbian, who try to convince more women to leave men, with the notion that they understand each other better and all that. But imagine you move in with another woman with kids, thinking you'll share the burden. Isn't it better to be with the father? Many talk about the cleaning, but today there are washing machines that wash clothes by themselves, robots that clean the floors, and vacuum cleaners. What tasks do women have that make them complain so much? But here's the thing she won't tell you. A man doesn't mind covering a woman's expenses, but imagine two women living together, with one child consuming more than the other woman's child, having to pay the expenses, having to clean up the mess of the other child. And let me tell you, there are kids that only their parents can tolerate. Two people at home with hormonal changes, waking up bored just because they're bored, something we men endure. Now, when one gets a lover, What will the other do when she sees a strange man being brought into the house? There's a reason the rate of violence between lesbians is higher than between heterosexual couples, but they don't say that.
So these are just a few things that I struggle with as a single mom. Having extreme guilt on the choice I made in a child's father. I saw a few signs throughout our relationship that he was not going to be a good person, rather poor character, really. And I looked past that because I just figured that in love, you're supposed to, nobody's perfect is what everybody told me. And I stuck it out because I thought that eventually he would change. He didn't. Being a burden to my family, because I have twins and nobody wants to help me watch them at all. They say, oh, I'm going to help you. Nobody has helped me as far as like watching them. It's too much for them. Grieving the life I had before being a single mom. I was able to go out and be social all the time. I was able to travel with my friends. I was able to just have mommy-daughter dates with my first child. I literally have no time at all. Finding time for myself, like being able to do things just for me, like go on a walk or just doing things, by myself, that is non-existent. Severe loneliness, that's really, really hard to handle because I don't want to jump into another relationship just because I'm lonely and then have some crazy man in my house again. So it sucks, but after I put the kids to bed, I'm there just with myself, and it's just like, wish I surely had somebody, but it couldn't have been him because he wasn't a good person. Reliving past trauma, the things that kind of got me in this situation, I'll think about the arguments, I'll think about the text messages and the audacity that this person had. Every day. It doesn't go away. I think about it very often, and I'm, still very much upset about the things that transpired. Staying positive throughout this whole experience, knowing that I deserve better, that I really didn't expect this stuff to happen, and not getting any help, it can really make you feel really upset. And then when my daughter gets home from school, I have to be present with her. I have to be present with my sons because they need me. So it's very difficult to stay positive knowing that I have all these things on my back by myself. I'm going to take care of this shit though, and I'm going to handle my business because I'm going to get it done.
Finally, a woman admits the truth that she decided to ignore all the red flags for love. Women love to be some kind of savior. They see this bad man with no future and think, he'll change for me. They love how he is in bed and don't care about other factors that might determine if he'll be a good father. This makes me laugh because a woman will bring all her high standards to the stepfather, but with Chad, she skips them all. You've heard them say, I saw signs he wasn't a good man, but I thought he would change for my love. Now she has to pay for her mistakes. This is the same example as hundreds of women. Some are so bad that they know a guy has 3 or 4 kids with different women, yet they go and have a child with him because they love the bad boy, always thinking, he'll change for me because he loves me and not them. But Chad doesn't change. He just spreads his seed. And you know who the real victim here is? One might think it's her, but it's the oldest daughter who will be made into a babysitter, losing part of her childhood and youth to help her siblings. This is what almost all single mothers do. Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will discuss how divorced women over 30 struggle to find a suitor for a relationship, how difficult dating is nowadays, and why men let them hit the wall. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year to earn our first plaque. That's the only contribution we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experience in the comments for any man who might need it. And without further ado, let's get started.
So I'm divorced and remarried, and I got married really quick the second time. I'm talking like engaged and married within a few months. And someone recently asked me, how did I know my husband was the right person for me, especially after all I'd been through? And I found what I wrote, and I just feel like you need to save this and write it down in your manifesting journal. Okay, I wrote, this man pursued me so intentionally, it melted away any insecurities because he showed me I was more important than relationship games. He adored me so much that I never had room to question if I was good enough. He respected me so well that I never questioned my worth with him. He was so wonderful to me that it made me want to be my very best self for him. And then I finish it off with, what made me fall in love with him as an adult so quickly without too much questioning anything was the way he made me feel about myself with his actions. Note that I didn't say how he made me feel in general. Any fuckboy can make you feel giddy and excited. It's how his actions made me feel about myself as an individual. Anyways, I wrote this about 2 years ago when we had been married 4 years, and now we've been married 6.5 years, and I still feel the exact same way about him. So go back and rewatch my video, write down everything that I wrote about my husband, and put it in your journal, because every girl deserves a guy like that. And they're out there, I promise. You just gotta dig for them. Dig and dig and dig, but they're there. I'm Monica. I share my mistakes in love and life, so you don't have to make them. Okay, love you, bye.
Forget about manifestations and all that nonsense. Anyone who believes in that will end up single. The first thing is that you didn't find the perfect man. You quickly found your rebound relationship. When a woman divorces, she meets someone after a few months and gets engaged right away, especially when it comes to getting remarried. This man was either there from the moment she started thinking about divorce, or she panicked because of her age and found a beta provider who would do anything for her, deciding not to let him go. Remember, women like to secure their financial future, and who better for this than the beta provider? She made a mistake with the first one. She won't with the second. Remember, women are very aware of their age. They know when time is running out. But they also know that the higher their beauty, the better the candidates. This man was probably a good candidate, especially economically. If the first marriage was for love, the second will be for security.
This one here is for all my girlies over 30. Recently, I came across this YouTube video of a young man, and he had a bunch of men on his live and while he was recording. And my conclusion of the 3-hour-long video is that men nowadays, no matter how old they are, they're only interested in girls between the ages of 18 and 25. Now you tell me now, where does that left we? Where are we over 30 and 41 left? Now, me not have to worry about it, because me well married for 22 years. But life takes its twists and turns. So does it mean that once you turn 30, 25, that's it fair? No man no want you again? Uno let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Much love.
Women like to confuse their personal value with their value in the dating market. Why do men prefer younger women? Typically, they have less sexual experience and tend to be more optimistic and lovers of life. Many are not interested in settling down. They just want to have fun. Many are not single mothers or desperately searching for a ring. Some don't want to have children and just want to enjoy life. If it's for commitment, these are women who, if they want to have kids, you might be the first. They are more fertile, young, and beautiful. Most importantly, dating doesn't feel like a job interview. So tell me, how can a man not be attracted to a younger woman if you've hit the wall? The wall is unforgiving.
The way our generation dates is wild. I mean, firstly, there are a million dating apps, which is not a bad thing, because I know beautiful stories and a lot of stories where people get married off of meeting each other on a dating app. But you're basically swiping left or swiping right, depending on how much you find that person physically attractive and vice versa, right? So that's interesting to me. But people are really out here full on dating. I mean, they're on their 10th date, they're traveling together, they're having sex, they're making plans for the future, and then they get the ick about something and they're like, thank you, bye. Ghosted. We're done here. Like, we literally took Ariana Grande's song, Thank You, Next. Literally. I don't like the way that you smile. Thank you, next. I don't like the way that you chew. Next. I don't like the way that you walk in little slippers. Thank you, next. Like, it's crazy because there's a million options, right? So no one is finding stability in dating. They're like, oh, wow, if we disagree on something and you're giving me the ick on this, why would I stay when I have a million other choices and a million other swipe right, swipe lefts that I can have and do? my peers, my friends are going through so much hardship in dating. And it is not just a one person issue. It's, communication goes both ways and dating goes both ways. But like, you don't think the people that are truly in happy like marriages didn't fight, or that they don't have icks about one another? Like, I look at my relationship of 2.5 years with my partner, and I think about the amount of good arguments we had to have this beautiful foundation, right? Like, there was one point where I was like, wow, we really can't see eye to eye. Like, you don't believe what I believe, and this is clashing. So how do we figure out a way to meet in the middle? And there's just no more middle in dating in our generation anymore. There's no more finding the middle. And so, I don't know, I just needed to rant a little bit because it's a little scary. Like, we wonder why divorce rates are super high. We wonder why the marriage rate is super low. We wonder why people aren't getting married or having children. And it's like,
Stop it. Get some help.
In these times, when you can connect with the world with just one click, people are preferring less contact. Women, in particular, are getting more attention than they've ever had in their lives. That's why you see women who are a 4 thinking they're a 7, because there's a huge number of simps giving them attention. Almost 60% of men are invisible to women. A woman, if she wants, can go out with up to 10 guys or more in a month. How could she make an effort to get to know someone when, after finishing a date with you, there's already a better suitor waiting? But here's the catch. A man can go out with 10 women if he is a man of value who has done things right, and it's possible 9 of them want something serious with him. A woman goes out with 10 men, and it's very likely that all 10 want to be intimate with her but not offer a relationship. Remember, for a woman to sleep with a man, she must make an emotional investment. A man is quite the opposite. If it's being offered to him, of course, he will take it. That's why a man, after being intimate, looks for qualities in a woman for a relationship. A woman, to avoid being deceived, looks for the qualities of a relationship before being intimate because, after making her emotional investment, she wants commitment, not just increasing her body count.
If you start dating after narcissistic abuse, here's a couple of tips of things you should think about practicing. Number 1, don't start dating until the love bomber is long gone in the rearview mirror, because you'll be going on dates comparing them to a fantasy. The love bomber was an idolized version of your perfect partner. You'll be seeking that and comparing that in other people, and that just doesn't exist. So take some time to detach away from any meaning or thought you have about who the love bomber was. Number 2, learn how to validate yourself. Don't go into relationships seeking for external validation. Learn to be okay in your own skin. You should be having no negative self-talk if you can really healthy validate yourself. Get to know yourself. You validate yourself when you really get to know who you are. 3, remove any self-doubt you have about who you really are, so that no one can come in and tear you down about any parts of you because you really own those parts of you. 4, make sure you have healed the parts of you that are afraid to have boundaries. Most of the time, if we don't have boundaries, that's because we have parts of us that are afraid that we'll be abandoned or won't have attachment. And finally, rebuild yourself. Your sense of self is completely stripped when you're with a narcissist. You have to spend some time getting to know yourself. Oh, and one more thing. Create a space of peace for yourself. Live alone, loving life independently, so that if it ever goes awry in a relationship, you're not too afraid to let it go, because you've created a space of peace for yourself, and you'll never live not in peace again. Stay strong. You've got this.
Do you know why dating divorced women tends to go wrong? It's because of timing. If the divorce took a year and she started dating afterward, the relationship with this woman might be good. But if it's a short time, like the first girl, then watch out. Man, you might be getting used as her rebound. This happens to many men who date single mothers, especially when the baby is not even a year old. They date her while the dad is still in close contact, and she's still in that couple dynamic. She looks for you as a temporary replacement. Then she realizes you're a new man with different habits and a different relationship dynamic. That's when she goes back to the bad habits she probably had with her ex, sabotages the relationship, or leaves you to return to her ex. Almost always, this happens after she has taken some money from you or made you pay off some debts or spend on her baby. For reasons like this, we always say the past matters. If it hasn't been long since it ended, you'll just be the rebound.
I'm going to give you 3 tips for dating after divorce. What to do to get back in the game. All right, tip 1, hell, I may give you more than 3 today, who knows. Tip 1 that comes to my mind is don't be fearful. That's number 1, okay? Because mindset is everything. And if you're afraid, then that's going to translate to absolutely everything you do. And if you're afraid to get on the dating apps or afraid to go out and meet people, it's going to be just obvious in your vibe and energy. So, number 2, and this is some good advice I'm going to give you here. Have your story set. Have some go-to answers for when that person is going to ask you questions, because there are natural dating questions that are going to come up. Like, how long have you been divorced? Have you dated much? Do you and the ex get along? What's the custody arrangement? Why did you get divorced? And if you don't want to talk about those things, then have a set answer so that you briefly answer. They don't deserve to know everything. They don't deserve, even if they ask, they don't deserve to know everything until you know if you really, really like them. So if you had a really hard, shitty divorce and you were married to a psycho, you are not going to say that. You're going to say, well, the divorce took a little longer than we'd hoped, but it's done and we've both moved on. Learned a lot during the marriage, grew apart. Those are very easy go-to things. And then you have a thing where you're already ready to change the subject. So tell me about you. What's the best restaurant you've been to lately? Just come up with something. So have things at the ready so that you're not caught off guard. All right, hang on. When getting back in the game, you want to make sure that you are picking partners that are appropriate for you. All right. So just remember, if they're fit, they want somebody fit. Usually if they have kids at home, you'd be a better match. If you have kids at home, if you're an empty nester, you want to find an empty nester. You want to find somebody who looks like they're realistic for you, for your lifestyle. You don't want to pick anybody that is super inappropriately young or looks like they have a party lifestyle if that is not your lifestyle. So be realistic. Oh, I'm going to give you another one. What the hell? All right. Make sure that you treat dating not like a chore, like it's fun, because you get the opportunity to now meet new people. So now your possibilities are endless. So your glass is not half empty. Your glass is half full. So when you go out on dates, do not be the sad sack that's down in the dumps. Who wants to date that person? No one. Okay. You will always want to, even if you have to plan it ahead of time, some things that you want to talk about that you find interesting, that you find fun, because you got to go on dates and be upbeat, happy, and looking forward to the future. Oh, I just thought about one other one. Hang on. I got one more for you. Last but not least, don't talk about your past. Do not get tricked into being pulled into a rabbit hole of talking about your past, talking about your ex, talking about your past life in the good old days. No, somebody dating you wants to talk about what the two of you might be able to do together in the future. So people want to date people who are optimistic and happy about the future, not stuck on the past. Okay? Okay. I hope it helps.
If you're dating a woman who has just come out of a divorce or a bad relationship, watch out for 2 things. First, if she talks a lot about her ex, it's a red flag. It's a sign she hasn't gotten over him, or that Chad was the man she loved the most. The second thing is her behavior after the divorce. If she tells you she's been going out a lot, distracting herself, or bad-mouthing her ex, making it seem like he was always at fault and she never did anything wrong, these are bad signs. She's someone who never takes responsibility for her actions and is trying to distract herself to avoid facing her problems. When they're like this, you end up with women who use you as a rebound. They only want you for the moment, which isn't bad if it's just for intimacy. The problem is when you see her as a long-term partner, because that's a recipe for disaster.
You son of a bitch. I told you. What did he do now? He don't listen to you. He don't listen to you.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll be discussing things you need to avoid to have a healthy relationship. We'll look at how a so-called friend is trying to sabotage her friend's relationship out of pure envy, as well as advice from a man who shares what his biggest mistake was in his marriage. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year so we can get our first plaque. That's the only contribution we ask of you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experience in the comments for any man who might need it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
I've already said it and I'm gonna say it again. If you are in a relationship, be very careful whose advice you take. If you have a really good friend, but she is low value and you have a problem in your relationship and you tell her about it and she gives you advice, the chance of that advice being low value is like 90%, 95%. And if you take that low value advice, you might sabotage your own relationship even more. I've seen it happen so many times, and actually relationships or like the people breaking up because of advice that was taken from a low value friend. If you take advice because you have a relationship problem, make sure it's high value advice. So for example, if you and him have a fight and it's really not your fault, and you talk to your friend about it and she says, why don't you just apologize to him? Why don't you just reach out to him? That is low value advice that you should not be taken. And that's just a simple example.
I think the problematic friend here is you. In my opinion, it's not a good idea to discuss your relationship with single friends. I've seen this a lot with both men and women. Divorced women, party girls, single women, or those who like to cheat on their partners are terrible at giving advice. The same goes for both men and women. It's well known that a woman's worst enemy is another woman because women don't have friends. They have competition. A good friend will speak well of your husband and give you good advice, like what she called low-value advice. Why not apologize? Why not get closer? It's not bad advice. She sees the situation from the outside and can see that you're not in the right. But women often see this as a bad thing. What they want is for the friend to take their side, to tell them that their husband is wrong. All this does is turn a small disagreement into something that eventually breaks the relationship. Watch the next video. It explains this better.
My wife and I, we start dating, and all of a sudden, we start having fights. And after we fought, she would always come back a little bit weird. I'm like, huh, interesting. I said, so let me ask you a question. She said, what's that? I said, say we're married. She said, we have a terrible fight. Who are the 5 people you're gonna call? So she gives me the names. I said, okay. I said, you call these 5 people, guess who they're going to defend? She said, who? I said, you. I said, let me tell you who my 5 are. My dad, Dudley, Bill, and I gave the 5 minutes. I said, if I call these guys, guess who they're defending? You. I said, in order for marriage to work, the 5 people I call when I'm pissed off, they have to defend you. And the 5 people you call, they have to defend who? Me. Wow. Which family should have said what? Listen, guys, you guys go make it work. That man works hard. That man's hey, look at your wife. She cooks. She takes care of the kids.
There are things bigger than
exactly.
Yeah, they give you context.
Yes, so that was the one thing. And then she went and got their 5 and said, okay, now I'm comfortable.
I hope that when Michaela finally meets David, she'll just change her mind about him and just realize that David and I are made for each other.
So I've heard a lot about you, David. How have you liked being here so far?
I've been having a great time with Evelyn's family. You were friends with Evelyn for a long time, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
The second Michaela showed up, I think David kind of shut down, or at least put up some kind of barrier, some kind of wall that he was obviously expecting her to be cold.
I did hear like you weren't really a big fan of me coming.
Not exactly. There's your age for one. 8.5 years is substantial, especially with Evelyn only being 18 years old.
I just feel like you could trust my judgment.
I trust your judgment, Evelyn, but I don't know David, so I can't like someone I don't even know.
Why? So this is David's welcome party. Did you just come to like judge him and size him up?
No, I came because you invited me to come. And
I want you guys to be friends. Or at least like each other.
I'm happy you're here. It makes Evelyn happy. But because I don't know you individually, I like to wait for me to see how I view someone's character before I'm automatically good friends with them.
I don't want this to cause problems for us. And if you don't like David, then you're disrespecting me.
Michaela seems to have an attitude towards me. It's my welcome party when like everyone is happy about me being here. She bringing her concerns up. I was a little bit disappointed. I haven't given you any reason to dislike me. So far, I felt welcome by everyone except you.
I'm just hesitant with how fast things are going. You're not really financially ready for all of it yet. Finances are a big thing.
Are you dating someone currently?
I am not.
Okay. It's just like you sound like someone who's not dating anyone.
David was definitely a little aggressive, and he made the comment about me being single, and that really upset me. I just want to make sure she's happy, and if that's with David, that's great. But I want them to, instead of just brushing me off, to really actually think about what I'm saying, instead of just not caring my opinion.
Stop talking about your relationship to other people. When you get married, form a two-handed circle. Don't let nobody else in that circle. Because if you let your mama in, she gonna mess it up. You can't let your friends in, they gonna mess it up. Form a two-handed circle, don't let nobody in it.
Did you see what I was talking about? The single friend wanting the other friend to be in the same situation as her. Why? Out of envy. Seeing that one friend already has a relationship that she hasn't been able to break, and now the other friend who was in the same situation has found a partner, she clearly feels it will be even more obvious that she's the single one in the group. What is she doing? Sabotaging the new relationship. Women don't have friends. They have competition. In most cases, that so-called friend is just envious. Analyze your friends. Not all of them have good intentions. That's why I don't support speaking badly about your partner with friends. If you need advice, go to the person with the happiest marriage you know. They might have gone through what you're experiencing and will give you good advice. But avoid going to your mother, sister, or cousins. Never damage the image of your woman in the eyes of your family or friends, because in a moment of anger, you and she might forgive each other, but your family might never forgive her or might hold ill will against her. This applies to both genders.
Want to stop fighting with your partner all the time? Then you have to start doing this one thing that I do in my marriage. And this is also what I teach all my clients how to do in their marriages. And if you can start doing this, you will eliminate the fighting in your marriage. Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm an RLT marriage coach, and I've been working with couples and individuals with my husband, Ned, for over 10 years. This one thing that you can start practicing today that will eliminate the fighting in your marriage is don't talk. Just keep your mouth closed when you are triggered. You've got to understand that any human being at any point in time can get activated and taken over by their nervous system. And when that's the case, it can say things that are mean or hurtful. We all do it. And you'll know when you're activated, when you feel annoyed by your partner, when you're angry at them, when you feel hurt by them, and you'll hear that same story come up for you about them and how they annoy you and whatever way they annoy you. Know that you're triggered and that you're in fight or flight for whatever reason in moments like that, and keep your mouth shut until you are calm and regulated and can come from a mature place and have a mature conversation with your partner from the place of feeling grounded after you've done some work on yourself. Communication is necessary, absolutely, but not when you're activated. So try this out. Let us know how it goes. You can do this, and make sure to keep following us for more content on how to master yourself and master your marriage.
Oh my God! Wow!
You see, this is really good advice. I have a friend who, when an argument with his wife started to get heated, would walk 2 blocks away. When he came back, he would approach the conversation from a calmer perspective. He said that if he acted explosively in the moment, he might say something he would later regret. This is why men are often advised to read books on Stoicism. Stoicism teaches you discipline, teaches you how to deal with your problems, but most importantly, it teaches you how to remain calm in the worst situations. A masculine man is not reactive. Women are reactive. When they're angry, they yell, raise their voice, and won't stop talking. If you, as a man, start doing the same, you'll lose the battle and her respect. The best thing you can do is keep your mouth shut, let her say everything she needs to say, and then, firmly and calmly, give your opinion when she finally stops talking.
Here's the greatest mistake I made in my marriage. And if you're doing this, man, I beg you to stop now. Never frame your wife. Never put her in a portrait that is negative, around your kids and your buddies and your coworkers, especially women. Frame your wife the way you want her to be not only treated, but the way that you want her to become. Watch your marriage change. Follow for more.
What do you do if you have a partner that brings in other people's opinions into your relationship? You got to tell your partner to knock that shit off. There's nothing that pisses me off more than that. The relationship is between you and me, not me and 5 other people. I've been in situations where other people's opinions were always being put into the equation. Oh, well, this person said it. I don't give a fuck. I don't fucking care. It's irrelevant to me what somebody else's opinion is of my relationship. And it should be the same for you. Like, stop talking to people. Stop talking to people. Stop getting people's opinions. They have no idea what's going on. Oh, well, my friend said blah, 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 blah. I've never even met them. What an ignorant idiot to think that. When somebody comes to me with a problem and they're talking about 2 people, I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I don't have both sides of the story. Like, dude, that's just common sense.
Absolutely. These are 2 very good pieces of advice. If you want to change your woman's behavior, treat her well in front of her friends, or your family. Say nice things about her. Give her compliments, and when she's with her friends, greet her with love. I bet this will bring many good things to your relationship. Remember, women are emotional beings. They make decisions based solely on how they feel. If you make your woman feel happy and others praise her, she'll return that to you. What the other man said is completely right. As I mentioned, sometimes a small problem keeps getting worse because either your woman or you are bringing outside opinions into your relationship. Not good opinions, but toxic advice from your single friend, or in the case of the woman, from her divorced mother or single friends who hate men. If you find yourself in a situation where you have to defend your girl in front of your friends or family, then you are in the most toxic place for your relationship.
Don't shoot the messenger, but let me explain why opposite-sex friends are a catalyst for marital breakdown. One of the reasons people advocate for opposite-sex friends when they're married to an opposite-sex spouse is because they're not properly integrated. Integration means, very quickly, being self-aware and accepting oneself, bringing in all the subconscious and darker parts of you into your consciousness and making peace with them, being your whole, authentic, but best self. So when you're not integrated, you compartmentalize your personality. These people haven't fully surrendered themselves to their spouse, whether they're also not fully surrendering to themselves and therefore they cannot surrender to their spouse, or maybe they just choose not to. They're denying and suppressing aspects of their identity because they don't fit the narrative of the marriage. Basically, they're playing a role. Now, maybe this role is a big part of them, but if you cut a core part of yourself out of the equation, you're going to suffer psychologically, and your marriage is going to stagnate or even deteriorate. Here's how you can tell if this is happening to you. If you get to express an alternative side of yourself with your opposite-sex friend that feels refreshingly freeing, this is a telltale sign of a lack of integration and a deficit in the secure attachment with your spouse. Even if from the outside it looks like you have a great marriage, and maybe you do have a good marriage, but it's incomplete. And this will wear on you. You see, it's not always the friend that creates the friction. It's what they represent and bring out of you, your shadow side. Worst case scenario, this is a symptom of poor compatibility because you didn't do a good job of vetting, or you consciously chose to force it because you were so invested in making it work. If this is the case, it is very hard to make it work because you have to deconstruct the marriage and build it back up like 2 different people and see if you can find a way to meet in the middle and get on the same page. But it is possible. Now, if you want to ensure that you vet for your future spouse and your ideal relationship properly so that this does not happen to you, you need to get my ebook, The Vetting System. Link is in my bio.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I don't know what people are smoking in the morning, but it must be strong. What this woman is saying is just that some friends encourage your bad behavior and others don't. When you have a partner, you owe them respect, which means you have to sacrifice certain things for your relationship. Sometimes this includes time with certain friends. Having friends of the opposite sex isn't bad. The problem is what kind of friend they are. When a man has a woman as a friend, if he truly sees her that way, he treats her simply as a friend. He won't pay for things for her, won't be doing all sorts of favors, and doesn't have any responsibility toward her other than being a friend. Now, if your woman says she has male friends, but you notice these guys are acting like simps, They have romantic intentions. Those are not her friends. They are just guys stuck in the friend zone, waiting for you to make a wrong move so they can take your woman. That's why I always say to pay attention to behavior. If your woman has a male friend who is married or in a stable relationship, then he's likely just a friend and sees her that way. But if it's a guy who's constantly texting your woman, paying for everything, inviting her to trips and expensive restaurants, he's not a friend. He's your competition. He's the guy your woman sees as a backup plan. This also applies to relatives who suddenly appear out of nowhere, like the so-called cousin. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Has a third person, a friend of your wife, ever spoken badly about your marriage? Have you ever had problems because someone else tried to ruin your relationship? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.